You are not burnt out. You are not depressed. You are not ungrateful. You simply spent so long being who everyone else needed you to be that you forgot to ask who you actually are. And that particular kind of forgetting is quieter and more dangerous than any of those other things. Today, I want to give it a name. In the work I have done researching women and identity, one pattern comes up more consistently than any other. Women who describe themselves as lost do not describe a dramatic collapse. They describe a slow fade, a gradual dimming that happened so quietly they did not notice it, until one ordinary day the light inside felt significantly lower than it used to be. The women who eventually do this work and come back to themselves describe the before and after in very specific ways. Before, they say, there was always a low-grade sense of performing, always a half-second of calculation before speaking, always a slight wrongness even in their fullest, most functional days. After, they describe something much simpler. They say they feel like themselves again, and they are surprised by how different that is. That is what we are working toward today. And we begin with 7 signs that the fade has been happening to you. Sign number 1. You can walk into a room, and within minutes, you know exactly what everyone in it needs from you. You know who is upset, who needs reassurance, who needs you quieter today, and who needs your energy. You are an expert at reading others. And then someone asks you sincerely, "What do you need right now?" And you go completely blank. This is not a personality quirk. It is the result of an attention that has been trained outward for so long that the inward signal has become faint. You have not lost the ability to need things. You have lost the habit of listening for them. And an unheard need does not disappear. It goes underground and it surfaces as resentment, as exhaustion, as a reaching toward things you cannot quite name. Sign number 2. You lie down and the list starts. Everything undone. Everyone is waiting. Every expectation unmet. Rest for you does not feel like rest. It feels like failure in slow motion. Research on burnout consistently distinguishes between physical depletion and what psychologists call identity level depletion. Physical depletion responds to sleep and rest. Identity level depletion does not, because it is not about energy. It is about the ongoing cost of maintaining an identity that is not quite yours. You can sleep for 8 hours and wake up depleted because what is draining you is not the workload. It is the performance. If you cannot rest without guilt, someone taught you that your value is conditional on your output, and that lesson needs to be unlearned. Sign number 3. The version of you who shows up with your family is different from the version with colleagues, different again with your church community, different in your car alone on the drive home. And the version in the car is the one that feels most like you. That is not flexibility. Flexibility means adapting your style while holding your core steady. What I am describing is the rearrangement of the core itself. Your actual opinions, your actual preferences, your actual self, adjusted to fit the room. The woman who cannot carry a consistent self across contexts has not yet found a self she trusts to be portable. And that trust is what this work builds. Sign number 4. In public, you are operating, functioning, performing, and then you get home or into the car and something exhales. And for a moment, you feel like yourself. That exhale is data. It tells you that the self you have been keeping in reserve, the unmanaged version, is real. It exists. And the reason it only shows up in private is not that it is inappropriate for the public. It is that somewhere along the way you learned it was not safe to bring it out. A life where your most genuine self exists only when no one is watching is a lonely life, even when it is full. Sign number 5. Not quite sadness, not quite longing. Something quieter. A background sense of missing, with no clear object. Not a person, not a place. Something more essential. Women who have done this work describe the feeling in almost identical language across different backgrounds, cultures, and contexts. They call it homesickness for a place they cannot remember. Missing a person they have never quite met. Standing outside a door not knowing what is behind it. The consistency of that description is telling. It is not a personal failing. It is the universal experience of a self that has not had space to be fully expressed. The missing is that self tapping from the sign number 6. The face in the mirror is familiar. The person behind the eyes feels like a stranger. You are wearing someone's face and living in someone's life, and that someone is close, but is not quite you. This is more common than most women realize. When the self has been managed and edited consistently for years, encountering it directly can feel genuinely disorienting. This is not a psychiatric condition. It is an estrangement, and estrangements, however deep, can be healed. Sign number 7, and the most significant one. Someone who cares about you asks simply, "What do you want?" For your life, for yourself, for this season. And the silence that follows is not comfortable thinking. It is emptiness. A reaching for something that should be right there and is not. Desire is one of the first casualties of long-term self-abandonment. It does not disappear. It goes underground and gets quieter and quieter, waiting for someone to ask with enough sincerity that it dares to answer. I am asking, what do you want? Before we get to the solution, I need you to sit with a question that most people skip over. What does it actually cost you to stay where you are? Not in some abstract future. In this year. In this month. Every day you spend as an edited version of yourself is a day that the real version does not get lived out. Every relationship you maintain from performance rather than presence is a relationship that does not know the full you. Every decision you make to keep the peace at the expense of your truth is a small surrender that compounds. And surrenders the compound. A year of them looks like a life that is slightly not yours. A decade of them looks like a life you do not recognize. The cost of not doing this work is not dramatic. It is quiet. It is the slow cost of a life perpetually deferred. And it is real. Now let me show you the other side, because this is what the work is actually for. Imagine waking up 6 months from now, and the first thought that arrives is not about what everyone needs from you. It is about what you want to create that day. Imagine being in a conversation and saying what you actually think, without the half-second of calculation about whether it is welcome. Imagine a Saturday morning with no guilt attached to it, just ease, just you, just the particular quiet pleasure of being in your own life. Women who have done this work describe these moments not as achievements, but as returns, as if coming back to something they always knew was there. That is what is on the other side of this journey, not a new person, the real one. I wrote Journey to Self as the structured guide to that return. It is 24 chapters, each one a step in the work of reclaiming who you actually are. And it includes a 30-day daily practice guide so the work continues long after the reading ends. Journey to Self, the guided, structured 24-chapter roadmap to finding yourself again. No years of therapy required, no dramatic life overhaul, just honest, chapter-by-chapter work that takes you from where you are to the woman you were always meant to be. The link is in the description below. If you found yourself in this video, that is not a coincidence. That is the beginning of something. Share this with one woman in your life who needs to hear it, and I will see you in the next video.